What do you know? What do you know? The kid is back. The kid is back. Well, not fully, but we're getting there. First 90 today, following the subluxation of my right shoulder, which was completely self-inflicted. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was on me. Stupidly, probably. Thankfully, which is a lot of fullies in one sentence, I did that. Because had I not, I probably would be singing and dancing and jogging around. I wouldn't be able to go on this YouTube journey and coach athletes all over the world anymore, which would be sad. It would be cool to maybe dance around a baseball field and make a fool of myself, but we've got other priorities. And with hindsight being 2020, everything happens for a reason. God is good. God is great all the time. He's got a plan for us, and we're sticking to that plan. We're feeling dialed, man. We're feeling good, looking better. We're a week into this new quest. It's not even the side quest, it's the main quest. And we're a week into it, and so we can't expect results like that. Instant gratification will kill us all. That's what I think makes this a good topic for today. One of the nights that I was waking up at 1 in the morning and my brain just starts to pop, pop, pew, pew, pew. Fire off ideas. Whatever your goal is, you're more than likely so much further away from it than you think you are. And so for me, the goal is to be able to pull down 100 again, get to sub 10% body fat. It's like timelines on these things. You shouldn't put timelines on them because whatever the timeline you put on it, it's probably going to take so much more time. Sometimes it'll take less time. More than likely, it's going to be a more extensive timeline for whatever that goal is. And you just got to keep hammering. You just got to keep showing up and making the small wins that are going to compound to allow for you to eventually reach that end goal. In like the bodybuilding space, you know, Dean Turner, shout out Dean, he's been on the pod. He talks about how a lot of guys think that they just have like 5 pounds to lose in order to be shredded, which is delusional because they really have like 15, 20, 25, sometimes even 30 to like really be shredded. Baseball sense, pitchers, guys think that they are one mechanical tweak or one adjustment to their program, or you know, one drill away from going from like 85 to 90. The gap between 85 and 90 is big. The gap between 90 and 95 gets a little bit smaller as far as like margin for opportunity, or like where the opportunity is, or like what you can really do in order to make those adjustments. So essentially like the details get more finite, right? Small adjustments matter a lot more. So adjustments to a plan or things that you're changing, those amplify when you go between that 90 and 95 gap. When you go between the 95 to 100 gap, those need to be looked at under a microscope. There are certain scenarios, sure, to where a guy can make a tweak and go from 95 to 100, but the amount of detail, attention to that detail, the amount of focus and attentiveness it requires from the athlete and the coaches that they're working with, and the trust of that process is so incredibly powerful. A lot of guys just can't conceptualize that, and that's why they'll never get there, you know? There are guys that can throw a baseball 100 miles an hour that do not look like physical specimens or physical freaks, and they might not even present physicality that would classify them as a specimen in a lot of different areas, in a lot of different scenarios. But because they're so detail oriented and because they do the things that require that so well, it allows for them to do that on a consistent basis and have that one singular goal, one singular objective of what they're trying to do, and put all the chips together, put all the pieces of the puzzle together in order to actually do that. So you can't be discouraged by the fact that throughout this journey, this process, you're not like as far along as you want to be. That is the epitome of the generation that we live in, this instant gratification. I want it now. I'm going to stomp my feet, bang my fists on the table, throw a temper tantrum if I can't get what I want right now. Those who can delay that gratification are going to be able to reap the benefits of that on the back end. Even more so because whatever goal they've achieved and whatever they're able to achieve is going to be sustainable. They're going to be able to sustain that because they have put the processes in place and put the work in and know what's required. So that way when they have that other goal, that next goal, they don't get discouraged when the timeline doesn't happen as quickly as they want it to. So whatever your goal is right now, and if you are going to set a timeline, make it further away than whatever you currently think it's going to take. So for me, let's just hypothetical, right? I'm not going to put a timeline on this, but if I said I wanted to throw 100 or pull down 100 in the next 12 months, I'm going to extend that out to 18 months or 24 months, because you can always adjust back. You can always say like, all right, well, 6 months in, you know, I'm 2 miles an hour away. Maybe we can move up that timeline a little bit. But really just having the end goal without the timeline, I think, is the best strategy to use, because if it's the goal is the goal, you know? That's 4 goals in one sentence. If you're not going to let time deter you from reaching that goal, you don't need a timeline, because you're going to show up every single day and put the work in required to do that. Think of like marriage. I think marriage is a great analogy, right? It's like there's some guys that have the goal of like getting married or finding a spouse or finding a wife. And it's like, I want to do that in the next 12 months. Does that mean 12 months afterwards, when they're still single, they're just going to be like, all right, I give up, I quit? It's like, no, you got plenty of time, dude. You got plenty of time to do that. Now, when it comes to like physical goals, obviously that window shrinks, because it's a lot easier to backflip or dunk or do any of these things when you're under 40, depending on how you take care of yourself. The goal is the goal, man. And you got to stick to it, and you got to show up every single day. And if you shrink that timeline, you try and get things too quickly without the necessary work required, you're going to be discouraged. So set the goal in your mind, show up every single day, develop a process to move yourself 1 inch closer, decimal point, a 10th closer to that goal, and you can compound wins and you can stay positive. And as you start to stack those wins, you start to move your way up the mountain, you start to work your way towards that. Every once in a while, you kind of look over your shoulder, you're like, damn, look at how far I came. Look at how far I am. Look at what I did. Look at what I accomplished. And that, in turn, will motivate you to continue to show up and move forward. If you're pissed off that you're not making these massive strides day by day, week by week, it's not going to happen. You're just going to get discouraged, and you're just going to want to quit because you set the timeline too close, the mountain looked too big for you, and you weren't able to show up every single day and stack those smaller wins. If you guys enjoyed this, subscribe, like. Got some resources for you in the comments as well. Check those out, and we'll see you in the next one.